Cameron Cowperthwaite, how you doing, man? Welcome to An Actor Despairs.
I'm doing good, Ryan. Thanks for having me, man.
Dude, it's so great to have you. For the viewers, I'm really cold. I'm sorry I had my jacket on, but you're such a fucking badass, man. This Dahmer episode, oof, man. I mean, we can talk about it because it's out now, but
Yeah, man.
how did that feel to have such an epic scene with Evan, man?
I mean, it's the whole show is just so heavy, like I feel like I started from the beginning to watch my stuff through, because when you're shooting it on the day, you don't know what's going to make it in, what they're going to choose, what they're not going to choose.
Yeah.
So I'm watching it through, and I got through the pilot, and I was like about to turn on the second episode, and I was like, Jesus fucking
Oh, you're talking
Christ.
about right now. You're actually watching it.
No, I finished it. I just finished
it.
Okay,
got it. Okay.
I went through from the beginning, and I was like, I had to take like 25-minute interval breaks between each episode.
So did I, dude. It's just so gnarly. That pilot is like, whoa.
Yeah, and my friend Sean plays Tracy in the beginning in the pilot. It's just stunning work, man. And I was like, if this is where we're starting, like, it's so heartbreaking. It's so, like, the energy is so palpable. It's insane. So, and honestly, they really capture that, because that's what it felt like on set. Like, I've never felt the energy in a scene like I did shooting the stuff for this show.
Let's save that, because we're going to get there. So we're going to do the usual thing. Before we dig in the work, man, let's start at the beginning. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Wilmington, Delaware, and tiny state, right about 20 minutes outside of Philadelphia.
I know Wilmington really well. I'm from Richmond, Virginia.
No way, really?
I live in New York, and we always, because like we drive, and I've been to Wilmington many times. No taxes, right?
No taxes, man.
Yeah,
but
dude.
Honestly, our only claim to fame, besides some beach life, but like I told
Rehoboth,
people
right?
Isn't that man? Yeah, the whole thing.
Dude, I remember I was 7 and I was on a beach, and we asked some guy, we were like, "Where's the beach, man?" He's like, "It's that way." And then so I'm like with my dad, like in my beach toy, and we go to this beach, and it's totally cool. But then they're like, like all these guys like hugging and kissing and just like dancing around. And then I'm just like building a sandcastle. And then we realized it was like a gay beach. We're like, oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's very well known in Delaware. And honestly, like the whole beach life down there is so fun. Everybody is just, it's so interesting, because you'd expect people to leave Delaware, but nobody leaves Delaware. Everybody just goes to Delaware beaches and then back to wherever they're residing in native Delaware suburbia.
Oh, you mean in the summers? Like, people don't leave.
Oh,
they go to Rehoboth.
Man, they go to Rehoboth. They go to Dewey. They do the whole, a lot of high schools do their like senior week when they're graduating high school down there, like as like a celebratory goodbye before everybody goes to college. Like it's surprisingly a party town.
So it's kind of like the Hamptons of its own Delaware,
yeah,
right?
Yes,
wow.
Exactly.
And just for the audience, it's adjacent to Ocean City, Maryland, right?
Yeah, you're probably like an hour away.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's all kind of like, you can take the ferry, like it's all relatively in that tri-state area, but so it's funny.
Was that cool growing up there then?
Yeah, I mean, it's got its pros and its cons, because you're living in a place that's so small. So like, everyone through like one person, you know what I mean? Everybody's sibling through one person, which is great in like that coming of age, like middle school to high school, kind of like your brother's older sisters buying you alcohol, and like you go to college with that same friend, and nobody leaves, so everybody goes from kindergarten to grade school to middle school to high school together, and like you really like watch each other kind of grow up, which is great. I mean, you're building some like lifelong friends that I still love and adore every time I go home for the holidays. And then on the flip side, you only know those people. So
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Totally.
Don't make any mistakes, because like people don't forget.
It's the same. It's not as similar as it once was, but Richmond, when I was here, was the same. That's so. I'm curious then for you, because like for Richmond, it was DC. For Wilmington, is it Philly where you go see your bands?
I'd say, yeah, dude, Philly, Penn's Landing, like I feel, if you're from Delaware, like we don't have a sports like program in the professional setting there. So like you're either like a Baltimore Ravens fan. Some people were Washington Commanders fans, or you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I am repping the Birds, but
I didn't even know because I don't care about football. Is that what we're calling Washington now? The Commanders?
that's their team, dude.
Oh, okay.
I heard it. Yeah. I don't know if I can speak on this in like a public forum, but I heard a rumor that the reason that they're the Commanders, and I'd have to fact check myself, so I can't don't quote me directly. But I heard that when they were vying for a new team name, some hedge fund guy in New York City bought like the top 100 available sports names to try to sweat out the Washington football team in the hopes that he would be able to sell them a team name. Like the Sharks, you know what I mean? Because I think some people are like, why is this the Commanders? It's such a, I mean, it's kind of cool, but it's also kind of like, I've never heard of a team name like that. But I heard that he was trying to like get them to purchase the intellectual property,
the Tigers or something like
that.
Dude,
exactly. And again, I'm not sure if that's a rumor or a fact, but if that is true, that is absolutely ingenious.
That sounds a million% something a guy like that would do, let alone 100%. Something someone in our world would do today. Oh, you know? Yeah.
I thought it was so funny. I was like, that is so like people never cease to amaze me. And those are the types of stories that make me think that way.
Only because you bring it up. Like I heard recently that somebody had realized that nobody had ever copyrighted the Happy Birthday song. And
way, really?
And decided to file the copyright for it, and they got it for like 2 months before like some Supreme Court was like, "That's public domain, bro." You know what I mean?
Whoa, but yeah, that's what I mean, dude. Like people like that cracks me up. Like those types of like innocent pranks that you know they don't hurt anybody, but it's just so
somebody makes some money off it,
dude. And good for them if they were aware of the fact that it wasn't in the public domain, or they had access to it for however long they did. Like, good for them. That's fucking great, man. That's so funny.
So then talk to me about growing up there. Were your parents artists at all or no?
Yeah, my parents are like actually met at the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, which I know
so your parents are actors.
No, they're other side of the camera.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, my mom's a script supervisor and a director in film and television now, but they met years and years and years ago at the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, which like, I know when you think Shakespeare, like you don't think Alabama, but at the time in the 70s, it was like the second biggest Shakespeare festival next to the Edinburgh Festival.
No,
and they were both stage
people still talk about it in New York, Alabama.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. It to me, when I don't register it, but I heard that the Edinburgh Shakespeare Festival has these like swans that kind of walk on like the opening of the festival, and I didn't realize that they get those swans from Alabama.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I know, right? But
dude, you're informing the audience of so many amazing. We're going to discover so many. No, this is
so many useless.
Dude,
things.
This is IMDb trivia that's going to be all down.
Here we go. Honestly,
we're going to be adding to your IMDb.
It up, dude.
That's awesome.
Watch someone come on here and be like, he's wrong. That's wrong. That's not a fact.
Yeah, but
at the time when my mom were working there at the time, that's what my dad told me was like a thing that he found surprising, was that the Edinburgh gets the swans from them. They met there doing stage managing stuff, and then they moved to LA in the early 90s, right before I was born, to kind of pursue the Hollywood lifestyle. My dad hated the independent contracting work. He didn't like not knowing when the next job was going to come. It drove him wild. But my mom was kind of getting a good foot in the door on the script supervising side. And then when I was born, they moved out to the East Coast, Philadelphia, Wilmington, Delaware, and she worked in the New York circuit. And she still does now. She's actually shooting Craig Gillespie's new movie, Dumb Money, right now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've seen that going around. That's awesome.
Yeah, she says it's fucking awesome.
So then, obviously growing up around that, at what age did you naturally, let's just say, discover movies and TV on your own?
Well, I knew it's interesting because I feel like I hear a lot of stories that people, when I watch kind of the interviews, or I hear these podcasts that like you got going on as well, because you kind of start your podcast the same way. And I'm always so interested to hear how other people have figured this out. but you kind of come across the fact that a lot of people are like, I didn't even know this was a job.
Yeah.
Like acting and all this other stuff. And I grew up like absolutely 100% knowing that like this is how people make their living, and set life is like really, really long and 17-hour days. And like I saw my mom like on the weekend for like a couple hours at a time when she was working.
Those hours.
It's pretty brutal, man. It's like
crew,
80-90-hour work weeks.
First in, last out, you know.
Oh
so,
man,
yeah,
it's just brutal. So I knew it was a gig, and I went to college actually. I loved it. I always went to the movies like with my dad every single weekend, like religiously. Like I was such a fan of cinema, television shows. I watched everything. I still do my best to devour as much as I can because I'm just fascinated by the work and the creativity and the stories being told, and especially the mediums in which we're doing it now with these limited series that, you know, were not as prevalent back in the day as they are now.
Right. Because back in the day, it was like you had to be on NBC, CBS, or Fox.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I, you know, I still remember the days of having, like, I feel like kids now will never understand what it's like to like have to pee during a commercial break.
Or Boy Meets World comes on and you can't rewind the moment. You're like, did he just say that? And there's no internet to go on. And be like, did Feeney really just say that to Sean? What, you know?
I know, dude. That was literally like my number one. If I was sick during the day and got off of school, I watched Boy Meets World like
dude, the best.
All through the reruns.
Come on,
the best, man.
Yeah.
So I knew it was like something that I liked and was always kind of fascinated by and entertained by. And I knew my family did it, but I think I was a little scared because my family was pretty open about how tough it is. Like,
so they never held back from you.
No, but they're so supportive, but they were realistic. They were like, if you can do anything else, just do something else. Like, this is too brutal. And, you know, there's a lot of high highs and low lows. And I think that roller coaster can feel pretty wild for the human system because we're just not built to withstand that kind of turmoil.
I'm going through it. I did a gig that I had been looking forward to for months, and then it's over. And now I'm back to the marketplace, and I'm like, well, that was a high. Now I'm back to my normal life, you know.
Dude,
so,
the late great Bill Paxton, man, he says it best. He's like, you can be on a set with Tom Cruise, and then the next week be sitting on the couch drinking a beer at 10 a.m. in your boxers.
Water.
Like, yeah, dude, like just wondering when the next job is going to come. And it's just such a wild thing that, you know, I wasn't, you can tell someone that, but I wasn't, you know, it's your parents. You're like, okay, mom. Yeah. Okay.
I get it, mom.
And,
yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see. But I ended up going to school for, to be a physician's assistant, actually. Like, I was going to be a medical personnel.
There wasn't a high school moment of like, this is it. No. I'm not going to go to college. It came later.
No, yeah, it came later. So I was in college. You have to get these hours when you're applying to graduate school, which I finished undergrad, but I never even applied to graduate school, which is so funny because all the science kids in my major and shit were like,
where did you go?
Good? The University of Delaware.
Oh, awesome.
I stayed local. Yeah. But they were like, are you okay, dude? Like, you didn't apply to any graduate schools. Like, they probably thought I was like the fuck up kid.
And by grad schools, you mean med schools or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cause I knew after I did these volunteer hours, I ended up volunteering.
Cause you were pre-med mandates that you have to do all these things, right? To
get dude, into, you got like 1,500 service hours that are volunteer. And I was dragging my feet on the whole thing. And then I didn't end up getting, any internships. Like, so I was kind of, you know, my parents were like, what are you doing? Like, you need these at your junior year. Like, you better get on top of it. So I called a family friend who was a nurse at a children's hospital, and I signed up, and she worked in the children's oncology department.
Wow.
Which is just
cancer,
the heaviest.
Yeah.
Just the heaviest. Like, it levels you. You can just like the air in your lungs is just gone. Like, I walked into a room and there's a 4-month-old baby wrapped in tubes, and her mom is like hair falling out from the stress. Like, it wakes you up. I mean, what's beautiful is that the nurses that do work there and the doctors that do work there are a certain type of angelic personality that does not exist in everyone. because the way they find humor, the way they crack jokes, the way they deal with parents who are, I mean, come on, man, they're at their wits' end. Like, what are you going to do? Your kid is dying. And I was taking the work home with me, and it was a reality check that life is short. And because I was in the major for science, you have to take electives. So I had to take a theater elective. And the repertory theater at the University of Delaware is actually pretty good. They get some off-Broadway and Broadway actors because New York is only like 2 hours away.
Yeah, just stone's throw. So I see those on Actors Access all the time.
And they're great. So I had to go as a prerequisite class and watch. You had to watch 4 plays. And I'm going through the motions of this internship that's just killing me. Like, I'm just like, I don't want to go. Like, I'm kicking and screaming. I was late every day because it was just hard to walk through those doors. Hospitals don't have windows. Like, the time just felt.
I know it never.
Like it would never end. And on top of that, it's heavy. But I go to a play because I have to go, and I go by myself because I need to see these plays and write a small like paper on them for the class. And I saw Martin McDonagh's The Cripple of Inishmaan, and it was astounding. Yeah. Just like, that's where I discovered like Martin McDonagh, who's probably one of my favorite playwrights, probably one of my favorite writers, period. Like,
In Bruges is one of my favorite.
In Bruges is one of my favorite films ever made.
That was like,
I are on the same page.
We'll have to make one together one day.
Yeah, honestly, let's do it. We'll just let's see if we can commission Martin to come help us out.
I heard he's got a movie, whatever. It'll be fine. It'll bomb.
Yeah, no,
we'll get him.
I heard it did okay at TIFF, I think.
Colin's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, no, it's all right. We'll find our footing, dude. We'll find our footing. Yeah. But I saw the play, and it was in tandem with what I was dealing with. I was like, man, I've always wanted to try this, and I've been so scared to take a chance. And in that moment, I was like, I quit that internship. I went to as many plays as I could, even past the mark of what class required. And I had a friend of mine who wanted to be a writer out here in comedy, and we linked up at the university. We say goodbye to our friends for a couple of weeks after we both graduated, hopped in a car, drove out here with no job, no prospects, didn't know anybody but each other, really. And that was 8 years ago.
Wow, man. So you went west. You didn't go to
west.
New York.
Yeah, I went west because my mom. So I did do this stint in New York because Mark Wahlberg's like, got his start as a model. So I was like, well, that's one thing I know or have heard. So I went to New York to take some like modeling stuff. Like, I did some spec shoots.
Yeah.
I was terrible. I was not very good.
Yeah.
Modeling is not for me. It's not my medium, man. It's not, it takes a special kind of artist and I, almost like these dancers, I think, that like have such control of their body. And I looked like I was slouching.
It is really awkward, the poses they ask you to do.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I was too young to understand like the methodology behind it, but I did take some okay headshots out of one of the shoots. And my mom, being my mom, a proud, look at my son,
yeah,
ended up showing my picture around her set. And she was working on 30 Rock at the time. And the head of makeup had a sister who was an agent in LA. And her name is Ro Diamond, and she's still my agent today.
No way.
Yeah, dude. So I got lucky because she's been a huge advocate for me, and she's been a great collaborator and partner and a great mentor thus far. And she had me put some stuff on tape back before self-tapes were a thing. But I put myself on tape for some auditions, and I got some good feedback. And she said, if you're ever in LA, look me up. And the moment I dropped into the city with my then roommate at the time, wrote her an email, met her at her office, and we got rolling.
No way. So you went with Rep.
I did.
That's awesome.
I did. I lucked out.
Yeah. That's so great though, man. I mean,
yeah.
Did that, you feel like, take a little bit of pressure going out there off? Like,
yeah, I do. I thought I would have gone to New York City, honestly, and like just bunked with my mom and mooched off her living situation.
Showing up on 30 Rock and been like, where's my line?
Man.
Yeah.
And honestly, like it's so funny you say that, because that is the mentality when you're young that you have. You're like, why can't I just do this thing?
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. I'm still learning. I'm still learning the business side. Like I'm still, downloading information when I'm seeing something that I'm like, okay, but this should feel awesome. And someone's like, yeah, it's cool, but like, calm down, like get back on the work train, like keep going. It's amazing how some things can blow you up and some things don't that you think would. And like,
it's always the opposite of how you think the auditions you think go great, you never get. And the ones you're like, well, they're never going to ever see me again. They're like, what's his availability like tomorrow? And you're like, what the fuck, dude?
I know. You're like, I shouldn't have even been reading for this part. And here we are. No, it's the same thing. I couldn't agree more.
That's awesome. So when you got there, where did you go in LA?
I moved to Hollywood because I thought Hollywood was it, that's what you hear. Hollywood, California. Hollywood is a shithole.
Total shithole. And the crime is so bad.
Dude, I was mugged my first day.
Oh,
day one, dude. I move into the apartment. We find this shitty place on Hollywood and Wilcox.
I know exactly where you are. Yeah.
Yes, where some celebrity used to live that her name escapes me. I can't remember. And I was like, oh man, we made it. My roommate and I, we just road tripped out and we were like, we got to celebrate. We made it here. There's this sketchy, scary liquor store right on the corner where we bought some Smirnoff vodka or something and Sprite. It was just crap because you're poor, you're broke. You know what I mean? So we were pre-game and we're like, we got to go see the city. It's a Friday night at like 9 p.m. Walking down the street, my roommate's telling me a story. I was texting my then long distance girlfriend at the time. I was going out with my roommate Norman, and we're going to kind of explore the city. I wasn't really paying attention, and he's telling this story. You're not always like looking at people while you're talking. You know what I mean? You're kind of facing forward. I was facing down. I bumped into somebody by accident because I wasn't fully paying attention. I went to turn around to say like, "Oh, my bad. I'm sorry," and he was already mid-swing with his girlfriend, by the way. Knocked me onto the ground so fast. He was huge. He had to be like 6'5". He had to be like 6'5". And
this is a guy looking for trouble, or this is a guy?
Had to be. Yeah, had to be because I bumped in. I didn't like shoulder check him. Like I wasn't paying attention. I didn't even know he was there, and I could see through my defenses that were subpar, really, and through his legs that his girlfriend was like, "Here we go again." And it happened so fast that my roommate who was telling the story kept walking because you're not always like looking at everybody, right? So when he was still telling the story and he went to look, like, right, Cam, he saw I wasn't there, turned around and sees me getting wailed on. Like
is this on Hollywood Boulevard or on Sunset?
On Hollywood Boulevard, Friday night, 9 p.m. People had to walk around me getting beat up.
Oh my God. There's probably YouTube somewhere of this.
There has to be. There has to be. The cops come over, the guy darts off and like
he grabs your shit.
He tried so after he kind of went to town, he started grabbing at my pockets and I kind of had to move, but you're kind of scared because you don't want to like unblock your face.
Totally. That's just survival.
I can't see shit, man. Like I don't even know where I am. I could be upside down for all I know.
Yeah.
And he ran off, cops came over. I'm like laying in the street on Hollywood Boulevard thinking like, well, it can only go up from here.
Yeah.
This is a bad start. But that was my welcome to Hollywood.
Damn. Were you okay or
yeah, that first shot was kind of like my arm was bruised. That first shot hit me like in the ear jawline area. And it was a little it was soup and liquids for like a day or two. But I didn't have like a concussion or anything, so I was good.
And what did the cops say? Did they like try to find the guy?
No.
Yeah.
They were like, "You all right?" And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, "All right, well, where do you live?" And I'm like, "Well, right there." And they're like, "Right there?" I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "All right, well, we'll take you home." Like nothing. I didn't do anything.
Sorry. Dude. Yeah.
I know. LA. What an ego, bro.
Yeah. God. Well, like you said, it could only go from there. So once you got established, did you start auditioning pretty quickly, or?
My parents, because they came from the theater background, were pretty
Training,
pretty stark advocates for the training, the craft. So I hopped into as many classes as I could, and trained as much as I could, and in script analysis, scene study, audition technique. I was devouring what I could. I think that my favorite part of acting is like the prep. Like, acting is cool. Don't get me wrong, I love it, but like the research, like I've learned more about historical things in relation to auditions I've had to prepare for than I ever did in history class in school, because it's not a regurgitation of facts, like the school system is in certain regards. Like, it really, like, you got to dive into these human stories, and you find letters from, soldiers who are war corresponding. And it just, that stuff is really, what I pride myself on loving. And I did as much training as I could for about a year. And then they were like, hey, let's send you out on an audition, see where we're at. And it was for Criminal Minds Beyond Borders. And I booked my first audition out the gate. And I was like,
it was a co-star or
it was a co-star. Yeah.
Nice.
It was a co-star. And I booked it out the gate. It was a Swedish tourist in the Beyond Borders.
You do have a Swedish vibe. I could totally see that.
So I went into the audition, and I had a friend from like the Czech Republic in college who stubbed his toe during a day drink one time and just started cussing in his native tongue. He wasn't like cursing in English. In my scene, the co-star scene, is like, I kind of get abducted.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, from that observation, I wouldn't say these lines in English.
Yeah.
So I learned all my lines in Swedish, because it felt like you'd revert back
to your native tongue. Yeah.
And I went into this fucking audition, dude. And I sit down in the chair with casting, because this is back when it's in the room.
Yeah.
And I do the whole thing in Swedish. And the casting director, and this is my first audition out the gate. You know what I mean? It's almost like, it's so funny because a child is so free, and I think so are the uninformed.
The naivety of it all is amazing.
I would never do that now.
Yeah.
Never do that now. So I do the thing, but I think I had the emotion of it.
Yeah.
And the casting director's like, what was that? And I was like, oh, and I did the whole explanation that I did to you right now, as if she had the time or want to hear it,
for a co-star.
Flying talk about my backstory of this character. And but she was very respectful, and she was like, okay, do that again. Be a little bit more drugged when you wake up. You kind of snapped right into it, and I want you to kind of be more loopy. And I was like, okay. And I did that. I went home. I reevaluated my entire life, as we do, thinking, I think that was it. Like, no one's ever going to call me again. My agent's going to hear that I did this fucking audition in Swedish like a moron, and no one told me that I shouldn't do that. Lo and behold, 8:00 came around that night, and they asked me to be on set the next day.
No way.
Yeah, man.
And you did the same thing on set?
We tapered it down. We did incorporate some of it, but we tapered it. The director was like, I love some things, like the one words for sure, but the sentences that are a little more exposition, like, we got to hear. So I just did the accent that they asked for. But yeah,
see, that's sometimes making decisions like that, dude. That's what gets you that. Like,
it is, and I think it was a testament, because what I did learn, from that, is that I will say, what I carry with me still is make a choice and be willing to fuck it up 100%, but commit, like
100%.
Commit. I would rather see you screw up hard than timidly sidestep around something.
And there's so many actors right now that I won't name, that like we've seen in movies that make really weird choices and commit, And some of the time they're just not right, but it's like, well, he committed to it. You know what I mean?
I respect the attempt, because I think that's truly like the actor's job is I kind of remove responsibility, and I come in with as much raw energy and as many choices and as many ideas as I can, and just hope that the director tapers me in a way that fits what he or she is trying to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just there to present as many options, make as many mistakes as I can, because sometimes that's where the gold is.
And that must have, like, you know, the first one in Los Angeles after a year of just doing like, that must have gotten them so fired up, right?
Oh, it was they couldn't believe it. They were like, this never happens.
Yeah, ever.
Never. So of course, dude, I'm walking out.
You're like walking out.
Yeah, dude, this is
your
so
dick 17 inch bigger.
Yeah, this is so easy, dude. Who told me? I was like, Mom, you said this was gonna be hard. Like, and then
getting Martin McDonough on the line.
Yeah, and then I didn't work for like a year and some change. And I was like, oh, this is how it goes.
Yeah.
It can be like that, and it can be like this. Yeah. And remember that, and also remember how you feel right now, because both are fleeting.
Yeah. And
like Tom Hanks said it best. Yeah, Tom Hanks said it best in that Hollywood Reporter. Like, one of the things he wished he knew when he was younger is, this too shall pass. You feel shitty right now? This too shall pass. You feel fucking great right now? This too shall pass. Yeah. Stay calm. Totally. And that is serene advice.
That's the best advice. I mean, I usually ask for advice at the end, but you just gave the best advice that, like, I've been telling people all the time.
I will rewatch the Tom. You can just Tom Hanks, This Too Shall Pass on YouTube. I will rewatch that weekly.
Have you ever listened to Dead Eyes?
No.
Oh, I'm about to change your life. Usually I don't promote other podcasts on my own podcast, but there's a podcast about this actor who auditioned for Band of Brothers and got it. And so, like, a day before he was going to shoot, Tom Hanks called the casting director and was like, hey, can I just see that actor one more time? Like, I'm here now. And he was directing the episode. And so the casting director called the actor and was like, hey, Tom just wants to see you one more time, like, you know, before. And he had already had the script and everything and the contract signed. So they had to go to, you know, the Band of Brothers casting office. He had to do the audition again for Tom Hanks. And he did it. And he said, Tom was like, oh, great. I wish there was more. And then the casting director had to come out and say literally to him, I'm so sorry, Connor. It's not going your way. Tom Hanks thinks you have dead eyes. And he lost the role that he had already, like, spent the money that he thought he had. And for years, like, had to go around.
Holy shit. Man.
And the show comes out. It's the biggest hit in the world.
Oh, so, my God.
3 years ago, he created a podcast called Dead Eyes, which was his investigation as to why Tom Hanks fired him. And he interviews.
I have to listen to this podcast.
He interviews all these actors that auditioned for Band of Brothers that didn't get it. And they talk about, like, you know, what their audition experience was like and all these crazy people. It comes together. And obviously he states from the beginning, his goal is to, like, get to Tom Hanks. But it's like, you know, a lofty goal. And he gets there.
No way.
And that episode will change your life.
You have changed my I can't, the hairs on my arms are standing.
Yeah.
I'm like, as soon as I get off this call,
shout out Connor. It's a great episode.
Yeah. Honestly, that's great. Awesome.
Yeah. And for the audience, check it out. Dead Eyes. Yeah. Can you there?
Oh yeah. I'm here.
Oh, you were so good saying still. All right, cool.
No, I'm just I'm just thinking. I'm lost in thought now, because I'm like, man, what that must have been like to have a part and go in. Like, how do you not move home? Like, what that does to, like, your self-esteem. Like, dude, people impress me, because that tough skin thing that you do here, like, that could not be more true. And even now, like I'm sorry I got lost in thought. I was empathizing with the fact that, like, trying to think about what I would do, and I would be sobbing
Yeah. Yeah.
for days.
And it's like 36 episodes long, and dude, it's riveting. It's honestly the best. You know, I think I have a good one, but it's like one of the best podcasts and entertainment I've ever heard ever.
That's so awesome. And so, honestly, it reminds me of I Think You Should Leave.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Because do you know why that is the title of the show?
Yeah, because the sketch is like, yeah, you got to go now, right?
No, what's his name is
Tim
escaping
Robbins.
me. Oh my God, Tim Robbins. Thank you.
Not Tim Robinson. Sorry. Yeah.
Tim Robbins. Thank you.
Yeah.
Tim Robinson would go into Lorne Michaels' office and pitch these sketches for SNL, and Lorne Michaels' response to him was, "I think you should leave."
Oh man!
So that is why the show is called what it's called.
Oh my God, that's so great!
I know some of the sketches are so funny and so whacked.
Oh so God, whacked. The haunted house sketch is my favorite.
Oh my God, it's so funny. It's
because I think that sketch is about him pitching SNL. That's what what I mean.
I do. That's what I feel that, and you can feel the cringe is just off the charts. The cringe factor. Good. Which kills me,
dude. We'll have to hang. You're a total bro, man. This is awesome. I love this.
Anytime you're in LA or if I'm in New York, because I travel to New York a couple times a year to see family. So when I'm there, we have to link up.
Yeah, for sure, we will. And all right. So back to your grind. So a year and a half goes by, nothing happens. You're auditioning, I imagine, in that time, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so then, where are you at in a year and a half mentally, you know, because at this point it's been so long since you last worked.
So hard. Yeah. You're so broken. I was doing restaurant work on the side. You know, you need the survival job because you can't pay for your lifestyle, you know, with just your artistry at that point. And even now where I'm at now, like I can't pay for my lifestyle with just my artistry. Like I have to do side hustles, and it's amazing because you can have these huge shows come out and you're like, yeah, but I got to go to work, so I can't see this right now. It's like, it's such a mind warp for anybody who's, you know, in the pursuit of it, and anybody who's listening that is still doing the side hustles, like, stick with it, you know, more power to you.
Many people on the pod have been waiting tables while the movie was out. You know what I mean? And
That is a story. That's a tale as old as time. And it is so evident and true. And like, you know, it keeps you humble though. And I think that it was a good thing to have had that stretch of time where nothing happened, because you're really kind of questioning, like, do I still want to be doing this? And like, I kind of just put my head down, stayed in acting class, like did what I could. And then I started to book a couple more gigs. I got myself on The Deuce and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. And then I did Feud, Betty and Joan, when that came out, which was my first stint with Ryan.
And did you get to meet or audition for Ryan?
I did get to meet Ryan on the set, which was great. Like, I don't know if he remembers this, but this is like, dude, I feel like half of my career is dumb lucking my way past like idiocracy. Cause like, I didn't know anything. Like I knew Glee, like I knew Ryan's name. But I just, you know, sometimes people change their look, and I was on set and I was talking with Susan Sarandon, who my scene was with, and it's Susan Sarandon. And, you know, so you're like, I'm going to pay attention. I mean, not that you wouldn't pay attention, but you're like triple focus.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, I need her to know that I am here for her. Totally. So I'm dialed in, you know, and she's talking about wanting to improv a little bit at the end of the scene, because she felt like it just ended a little abruptly for her, and she kind of wanted to do some stuff that just kind of takes you out of the scene. And I was like, oh, I love it. So she was kind of saying where kind of she wanted the scene to go, and the director's right there. And I'm seeing, and this gentleman steps kind of like over the shoulder of Susan, and I'm trying to focus on Susan, and I see it in my eyesight. And this gentleman kind of like waves over at me, and I was like, oh, 1 second. Like I kind of went like this. And the director's like, no, like you can go over there. Like Ryan wants to talk to you. And I didn't realize that I had just like said to Ryan, like, hang on a second. I'm in the middle of something. And I was like mortified. I was like, oh my God, this is the longest walk down this set hallway I will ever have. And I landed there and I was like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, no, no, no. And he literally could not have been the more sweet. Like he was so interested in you and what you were doing. And he looked at you in the eyes when he talked to you, and he was very patient. You could just tell he was one of those people who just was not waiting to talk. He just like listened and then responded in kind. It was just broke the walls down. And I, fell in love in that moment in a way with Ryan and his artistry and his creativity and his pushing for ideas and the way he tells stories. And it was just kismet that I got the chance to meet him, because after that, he had mentioned working together again. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like, I'm so young. I cannot, like, flipping out, like I'm like a dog chasing a bone there. And he called and offered me to be in the American Horror Story cult season. And that
when
was
you
like
did the
first
4 episode.
Yeah, that was the first
Wow.
time I ever got an offer from working on a previous project. And like Ryan is
No audition.
no, and he's
Yeah.
just and I felt so empowered by that, and his loyalty and my tenacity to work in this business. And I just want to work hard and work with great people and collaborate and be present and do the whole gamut, man. And I think Ryan saw that, and we kind of maybe saw that in each other. And I think it's one of the reasons why I've been blessed enough to work with him multiple times, which I'm very grateful for.
And same thing happened on the other times.
Yeah. So
let's talk. Yeah, let's talk about the one where Dahmer, man. Let's finally get into it.
So I auditioned for I worked with him on I'd worked with him a couple times. I had gotten to the final callback for the Boys in the Band play on Broadway. Like I really felt like I was kind of building up some
Ryan's
momentum.
really been kind of a mentor and
Yeah. Honestly, like, and when people say like you need a champion in the race, like Ryan has been that, and it's been a blessing to get to showcase my work and participate. And also, there's so many people that bounce from set to set in Ryan Murphy's world, because everyone loves the projects. They're phenomenal. Everybody loves working with each other. So when you jump from thing to thing, you're like, holy shit, I haven't seen you since blah, 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 or what, you know what I mean? Like, you're seeing a lot of the same people. Everyone's climbing the ladder from project to project because he promotes from within. So you're seeing all these people that you love, like, grow in their own careers while you're growing in yours. It's like, it's so cool to be on this parallel track with everyone over there. And I got a call to audition for Dahmer, actually. So I put myself on tape for Jeffrey Dahmer when I got the sides, and I did it. I got with an accent coach, and I'd already been interested in true crime, so I knew the interviews with his dad in the mid '90s, and I knew a lot about him, but I did as much research as I could. And the scenes were the court, like, not the courtroom, they were the police interview scenes.
Got it.
Where he kind of talks like so simply, which makes it so creepy. Because it's just so casual. And I did these scenes on tape. I got the glasses. I went as hard as I possibly could on the prep for the scenes. I took photos of myself. Like, I went on Google and found photos of Jeffrey Dahmer, got the clothes, the glasses, and did side-by-side photos. And I did a couple, like a montage of photos to prove that I looked like him and I could make myself look like him. Did the scenes, and then I, again, this goes back to the naivete, as you said. I on my phone, you can get like a 70s filter for video recording. You know what I mean? You can make videos and give it all these filters. and I made a fucking weird self-tape home video as Jeff, like a 2-minute like whacked self-tape that, you know, I was like, I feel like maybe this might be too much.
Yeah.
But I sent it anyway, man. I was like, screw it.
What do I have to
this.
lose? Yeah.
I want this bad. And I sent it in, and I got a call back and got some notes from casting, and then I never heard anything. And then I saw that Evan was cast in the role, and I was like, oh, it's so crazy because you want it, but then you're also like, oh my God, thank God.
That makes sense.
Because it's so daunting, and Evan is so brilliant.
And they also have such a history together, you know,
as they should. They're a dynamic duo, and but I put myself on tape for that. And then a couple months later, I got a call to play Steven. So I didn't audition for Steven. No, right. I guess I had.
Yeah.
I guess they had seen the work from the actual mainstay title character, and that led to playing Stephen Hicks.
That's amazing, man. It is a real victim as well, right?
Yeah, he was his first, actually. Yeah, crazy. It was quite surreal. I got a weird Instagram, not weird, but weird in the sense of it's surreal, not weird in that it was weird what they said, but it was very surreal. Just today, I got a message saying, "Hey, my dad knew Steven. Like, I appreciate what you did." That's crazy to me. Like, that's crazy to me that the show is that far reaching and that, you know, timeless in certain regards, that, you know, it's also kind of heavy that, like, you realize, and set was heavy because you realize, like, this is all true.
Yeah, so let's talk about that experience. So getting on there, you know, I mean, obviously we hear so many different stories, and I've met Evan. Mm-hmm. Evan's a great guy. He's such a nice dude, man. I don't know him well, but I had a lot of laughs one night with that guy. And, you know, what was it like walking onto that set? Because you go to your trailer, you get in your wardrobe, and, mm-hmm. you know, you can't imagine that it's like you and I right now, because it's hard to switch to that, you know?
It is. And Evan is so kind and so generous, but there's always this. And I feel like I'm kind of similar too when I'm doing a scene that's heavy or a role that's heavy. There's this like string that you can feel where like 90% of the person is with you right now, and 10% is tethered to this darkness.
Yeah. That
they then will give themselves over to when the time comes, whether it be in the scene between takes all day. You know, I think different scenes call for different immersive behavior. And it was because I was with Evan on Cult, and that role was, when he played Kai, was crazy. I feel like I have only worked with Evan on the most dark, fucked up, deranged, deep human pieces, because it's always something so heavy. But Evan is still Evan, you know, when we're in the van.
And obviously then you have that short, you know, it was short.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was nice to actually have done a piece together prior to this, because it really lent to like a freedom, and we improv'd, and we were like doing the scene before the scene, and we were kind of just trying to live as much as we could just in this world that Ryan had created and the rest of the team had created, and just play on this playground and just see what happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you feel that darkness during the takes? You know?
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard to watch. It was hard to. I consider Evan, you know, a friend. You know, he's so busy, I don't get to see him that often outside of working. But, you know, you build these kind of summer camp relationships where you don't see each other for a long time, then you can pick up where you left off a little bit. And it was hard to watch someone you enjoy and care about like go through that. It's just hard, you know, and you're trying to be there as much as you can, but sometimes the role doesn't always lend itself to being on the same team. Like, I was a little antagonistic towards Evan's character in certain regards, so sometimes you're having to pull and poke at him, and it's just hard, you know. You kind of give each other a hug at the end, being like, "You okay?"
So in between setups, you guys aren't really doing this. You're staying in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was, you got to make sure, I think, depending on the actor, the type of actor or the type of scene, like I gave him his space, like between setups, like we did not chit chat because we were trying. I think everyone was just focused on trying to do this right. Like while we're here, we're at work and we're doing this thing. And
the production authenticity is insane. It's like,
insane.
And
it's believable. Like you're in this house that feels like a different era, and like you're just trying to you're so focused, and it kind of transports you there. And even the feel of like the shag aspects of the carpet, like everything is just so authentic in what they did, that, and I think it comes through in the show. You feel teleported
totally. And like you said, you have to dose it because it is so intense.
I had to take 20-minute breaks between episodes. And I ate before.
Dude, last night I was at a restaurant eating at a steakhouse, watching it at some of the most scenes, and I think people were looking at me like, dude, what is wrong?
Yeah, you're risking.
I'm like, I got an interview with this.
Yeah, you're risking it all, dude. More power to you.
Yeah, but that's awesome, man. So what's it been like now seeing it take off? And I
mean, yesterday was nuts because yesterday I was talking to my roommate about it. He was like, it's so wild that in 2 weeks, it's the greatest show number wise.
It was like 196 million, right? Or something crazy.
I think it's north of, let me look. I think it's north of like 400. Let me see what the actual thing says. Cause I was blown away when I saw it. 496 million hours viewed in only 2 weeks, making Dahmer one of Netflix's most successful series of all time.
That's insane.
That is in, and you know what? So happy for everybody involved and all the team members that were, cause I was there for like 5 days. And there was a lot of people that were there a lot longer in the trenches, a lot longer. And to see that kind of response, like you're just very proud of everybody who dialed it to 11. They all showed up and were so gracious and so humble and so giving and so present and there. And like, it's just so great when the stars line up, because everybody does that on every set, right? Like we all come in like, let's do this. Everybody's excited. Everybody wants to do their best work. And sometimes the product doesn't always get there. And we don't know why. Totally. It's a miracle that anything is good. But it's so great to see that this got the response it got, especially because Ryan, like, who had consulted with Rashad Robinson, who is the civil rights advocate for the organization Color of Change, and he consulted with them to make sure that the story being told from the point of view of the victims and the disenfranchised communities was told correctly. Like it was, you just felt that on the production that everybody kind of had this role to play. And it's just, I'm so happy to be a part of it and so happy to see that it did what it did with all the work that everyone did.
Congratulations, man. I mean, it's so epic.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you, man. It's been an honor getting to know you. And this
Thank you. Oh, you too.
Just the beginning
for 6 hours.
we will, dude. We'll be hanging. We'll do it in person. We'll record some of it. And
I can't wait.
I know you and I were having a homie talk before. Can you talk about what's next yet or no?
You never know. Like, but I just don't know if you're allowed to ever say any of these things.
Just because of who it is, maybe let's not, because I don't want to get an email, but
being like, hey, what the hell? But but like in the fall of next year,
you got something really
something cool. Yeah.
And you'll have to come back for it, and we'll have to do it in person.
Oh yeah, we should. I was just going to say we should crack a beer and watch it in person. Dude. And chat about it, and I hope you find your way onto that project.
Me too, man.
I'm putting it out in the universe.
I've been in the room once for it, so yeah.
I'm putting it out there.
Yeah,
I'm putting it out.
But for the audience listening, man, and for all those that did get into acting late, like you, and maybe were pre-med or pre-law or whatever.
Yeah.
are, figuring out whether to go to, New York or LA or Atlanta now, because that's an option.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like any advice that you might have,
I think my crazy mentality would be like, oh, some people, like I wish they had done something different or started earlier. And it's kind of like, yeah, well, we didn't, but it's never too late to do something. Like if you want to try, just fucking go for it, and if you do try to go for it, go for it. But you know what I mean? Go down swinging. Bryan Cranston in his memoir was like, if you don't quit, you will make it, in the sense that the people that don't make it simply quit, and the people who make it simply don't quit. And it's such an interesting way to look at it. So if you're geared up and ready to dive in for the long haul, just give it everything you can, especially if you love it,
Dude, I can't think of a better note to end this on. Cameron Cowperthwaite, man, thank you for being here, dude.
Thank you, Ryan, dude. You are the man.
Yeah, dude, this was so fun, man. Well, we're going to be rocking real soon, and so much love, and stay in touch, bro. All right?
Yeah, no, of course. And my best to you and your family.
Thank you, man. Likewise to you.
Of course, brother.